This might actually, it's definitely the first Slark that I casted.
Yeah.
I actually thought they were going to go for something more durable, but NiP decided that they're going to go for something a little bit more squishy, but I mean, Slark does okay against the Slardar because you can just keep Dark Pacting.
Yeah.
And it keeps getting rid of it, but...
It's squishy, but at the same time, it builds into durability eventually, right?
Yeah.
And that's something that's very critical against Alliance. The problem is there's still going to be a lot of AoE control, which makes it rough for the Slark. You've got Disruptor, both Kinetic Field, Static Storm combination. You've got Enigma Black Hole. Pycat has an array of AoE to be able to lock down the Slark, as well as the Slardar. So usually the Slark is incredibly dependent on being able to survive through Shadow Dance. Well, the problem is he's got so much AoE damage and control that he's facing into that the Shadow Dance may not be much of a factor.
Alright, here's the thing about if you're the drafter and it's also your hero, you're always going to pick your own, like, what you want to play the most. If you remember the documentary Free to Play, right, where who was it? It was HY that was like, I want the anti-mage, right? Or was it the Shadow?
No, he wanted the SF. He was like, SF is
like,
the
it's
hero,
the
trust me, and his team was arguing with him.
Yeah,
right?
that's the thing, is that if you go for that, it's like you gotta be the person to live with it as well, because you're gonna be the one making the last decision. But at the same time, imagine if he doesn't get the SF there, and they lose, he would have, to this day, he'd probably say to people like, if I had only taken SF, we would have won that game. So, as a drafter, I mean, this is the tough part, is that you just have to kind of live with whatever decisions that you opt to go for. And for the first time in forever, NiP decide they're not going to go for that smoke gank that worked for them so well in the first two games.
Yeah, they're still going to try and get both the Battle Runes here, but never mind. NiP quickly see Alliance centering up with 3 heroes. Do not want to fight into a Slardar at level 1, so instead they get Jonas and Fun, who managed to pick up the Battle Rune at bottom lane, and this means they will be at a disadvantage in middle lane, where the SF has a 100 experience and 100 gold advantage over Limp's Leshrac.
I don't know how much it means, because the SF is going to get quite a late of a bottle anyways, and he's picking up a Salve, I'd imagine, or a Tango, right. And it's going to be the Tango. It means more for the Lesh, I feel, and so the Lesh is getting zoned out by Mad. Just trying to secure the SF some farm early, and this is really typical of teams now. If you have an SF mid, you're just trying to set them up for the first 2 souls.
Right. And you can also really abuse the fact that you know the Leshrac didn't get a bounty rune, so he doesn't get the immediate Tango or Salve that's run to him from the Courier. And this also means you can try and abuse the shared Tango build that he has, or at least as much as possible in that early CS. Now, Alliance are not going to be running anything up against that Axe. They're actually putting their dual lane of Dazzle and Slardar in the top lane. They've got Mad, who was at the middle lane trying to harass Limp, is actually now heading to bottom to help out Admiral Bulldog, who's facing into the Slark, who's a current solo, soon to be joined by the Witch Doctor.
I actually think the Slark loses to the Enigma, and that's the one thing I was a little bit concerned with, is that if you're NiP and you're running this tri-lane, you don't need 3 heroes up here to deal with the Dazzle and the Slardar, because it's unlikely that you kill them.
Oh, Matt is actually going to be caught. They managed to land the pounce, and with Hanskin there, the cask is out. They're able to right-click him down. It looks like First Blood being picked up by Hanskin.
Is that all 3 games now where NiP have actually gotten the First Blood?
I believe so. Ninja the Pyjamas seem to always find that opening in the laning phase, but they found that opening in game number 2 as well, and it didn't go so swell for them. They do have this double melee lane that's facing into the Slardar and Dazzle. Fortunately, they're both durable enough that they should be able to deal pretty well with this any kind of Slardar aggression.
Yeah, and Bulldog is having a fine time at bottom, as the Slark is going to struggle to get CS. He picks up a poor man shield to be able to deal with the Eidolons, but Matt just immediately shows up at the bottom again and continues to harass as NiP secure both runes, and Pycat's going to be pretty disappointed with that, but he doesn't have a bottle, so it won't really change too much, and Limp pops the Salve, and things mid seem pretty evened out.
Is it time to dive, though? It's even, but can Hanskin actually make some sort of play here with the double damage?
He's going to wait for Pycat to push up even half a second, and they're just going to dive. Like, eat a Tango and go.
Yep, they look for it now. Pycat, quick on the retreat here, holding to the left-hand side to make sure that if Hanskin wants to be able to make a dive, he's going to have to go straight through that tower. Meanwhile, top lane, ooh, there's a nice big jump as Jonas Vaughn breaks down the Dazzle. Nice nicely played. The call setting up 2 for a double purification. Now Loda on the retreat. He will survive, but forced to use that health potion. In fact, he's going to lose it here as he pops the stun. He really does not want to miss out on the CS underneath the tower, and it costs him about half of his health potion to do so.
Yeah, but you're getting 3 CS, so it's probably worth it on top of experience. Like, imagine if he had to run all the way around here. Like, you probably lose more as a result of that.
Right.
And an immediate lane swap comes out as Loda says, not going to do top anymore. And Era's the target here, but he should be just fine. They do not have Glimpse. He actually opted to go for the kinetic field.
Hanskin throw out a very aggressive cast to be able to stop Loda, who was trying to sprint in there. I do think that this is the right idea. Again, the Slardar, not really a match for the Omni Knight Axe. They need to continue to try and keep the Slardar up against the Slark as best as possible. As we all know, the big fish eats the small fish.
All right. I'm just gonna let that one go, and
That's my analysis, Blitz. Roll with it.
that's that 6K MMR analysis.
Sure enough, Era, quick to be able to TP out of that lane, now goes up to top, and already the Axe at bottom lane.
Yeah, and they're going to struggle because the Axe already has Tranquil Boots, 21 CS on him, and Hanskin with a kill already, and Alliance aren't going to really be able to contest this rune as it's going to be a regen for Limp, and Pycat's going to complain about that one. Like, that's the kind of stuff that I would be like, are you serious? Like, he just got another regen rune 2 games in a row? Like, that's the kind of voice that I would use too if I was Pycat.
Yeah, Pycat. He is one of those players who can get a little bit upset about those minor RNG advantages. This one, not so minor. The regeneration means that Limp is just going to be able to spam out Lightning against the very squishy SF. We saw how that went in game number 1. Admiral Bulldog now up to the top lane with his Soul Ring facing up against Era. He is keeping Era rather under-farmed, despite the fact that he managed to get a kill. Look at this CS score of this Slark. He's 8-1 and is only level 4. That is a large part, in fact, due to Bulldog being able to deny and actively kill so many creeps.
It's just the strength of Enigma as a hero. It's hard to kill. He's got a lot of CS, and a hero like Slark, that's kind of the downside of it, is that he can't really hold up to this early pressure. Like, once he's got level 6 and stuff, sure, but earlier than that, it's going to be difficult, and Omni Knight as a support, I mean, it's incredibly defensive. Like, he's never going to be able to go for kills, really, unless it just kind of pops into the lane and happens for him, and it's just going to be a counter-initiation tool as this top lane. Bulldog's going to be doing just fine the entire time, as Era really has to hit 6 to be able to do anything.
Speaking of 6, Jonas Samfan is actually about to hit his 6 as he is facing the tri-lane, but with the Omni Knight behind him now with the level 2 purification, he is feeling pretty safe to be able to get CS. So the Slark's loss is the Axe's gain, essentially. Jonas Samfan is going to have to make some big plays with the relatively early Blink Dagger we're hoping to see from him in order to make up for the laning disadvantage that Era is currently in.
Yeah, and typically you'll see an Axe just kind of pop into the middle of the creep wave, but if you're against a Dazzle, you don't want to get hit by that, like, 15-man heal bomb, right?
Yeah.
So you typically are just going to give that up, and if a haste rune spawns for Pycat, that'd be the best possible thing in the world, but no, it's a bounty rune, and Limp is going to get the real rune at top, and luckily for Pycat, it's only the illusion, so he shouldn't be too upset about that. He's going to be happy to see that illusion rune.
Not really too much of a factor. Bulldog trying to pull here with his Eidolons in order to make sure the creep wave doesn't go into the hard camp, and Hanskin trying to stop that advantage as best as possible is actually killing the Eidolons and being able to get some of the last hits on this hard camp as well. Bulldog still going to be happy with the experience he's getting, just not quite the play he was hoping to make.
Yeah, and Pycat, I mean, credit to him for keeping up in farm, 37 CS, not really having to rely too much on anything else, and he rotates down to this lane, but NiP are playing it incredibly safe as they do have a ward here spotting this the entire time, and Pycat, I think what he's going to do is just go to the jungle a little bit and farm out.
Yeah, he's already done that quite a bit. The Disruptor cleaned up or stacked up this hard camp earlier. It was actually complete deja vu. Pycat sees a regeneration rune on the Leshrac, already has a 4 stack to be able to farm up, so he does that thanks to the chicken bottle crow a little bit, and then returns back to lane. But as you said, Pycat is more than able to be able to go jungle almost full time at this point, and leave that middle lane open to the Disruptor to try and get his level 6 if he wants to.
Alright, me and Matt just learned a new mechanic. He tried to pull this creep wave, the big one,
right,
and he wasn't going to be there in time, so for vision he uses his kinetic field, but it actually blocks out the creep camp, so they didn't even move.
Oh dear.
Yeah, and so it's a little bit unfortunate for Pycat, who did want that stack to work with, as Limp just continues to pretty much free farm, but you expect this out of a Leshrac against the Shadow Fiend mid, like that's a pretty advantageous lane. Like, the only reason it's somewhat close is that Disruptor came, and you also saw the Bounty Rune go on the SF early. So the lane is somewhat even, but SF, if he's even like this, should pull ahead because he has the jungle to work with, and he's on the Radiant side. Like, this is why Alliance opt to pick top 2, the Shadow Fiend. Like, typically you won't see it because it is a counterable hero, but if you're on the Radiant side, it's so easy to stack.
Bulldog. He's caught in a staircase, and with Limp there as well, the Split Earth will be able to get that kill. Bulldog just basically positioned himself a little bit too aggressively. The Slark was there to catch him if he tried to run backwards, so his only play was to continue to move forward. Unfortunately for him, Limp was already getting that top rune.
Yeah, and Hanskin just continues to stack up the jungle right now for Limp, but...
Oh my god, a 2-man call, they're able to get the purification, but it's still no spins for JoinDOTA. If he'd gotten some spins, he would have actually been able to get the chop on one of them, but unfortunately, that's not the case. Now he's going to be glimpsed back. JoinDOTA still taking enough to be able to survive through this. If anything, he's okay with fighting more. Purification gets laid down, 2-man call once again, but with Pycat joining the fray, the black hole being used. Oh my god, the spins! He gets top 1, can he get out? Second 2, JoinDOTA getting out! Oh, he's going to get away! Matt goes down to the Split Earth as well. Alliance number 3! JoinDOTA goes for the farm, he gets it! An ultra kill, JoinDOTA top! Quad dunk for NiP as they walk away, wiping Alliance and not losing a single hero.
Alright, that was pretty hype, as that was a 5-man wipe for Alliance as NiP walk away 5-0 at that point in the game, and Era just continues to rack up the farm. An 8-0 lead so early on, almost a kill a minute after that engagement for NiP. The black hole was used as well.
Look at my fight recap.
That's pretty
That's a 3,000 swing at the 9-minute mark with 2,000 experience being picked up by NiP.
Yeah, and that black hole, for a second I was like, this isn't gonna go well. Like, yeah, you're hold, but you're in melee range of an axe. And he manages to get out of that, and he goes to the Vanguard first. He's unkillable at this point. I completely... Sometimes I don't agree with the Vanguard first, but I think if you're this far ahead, you don't really require the Blink Dagger to get kills. You just want to be an annoying lane presence to Lota.
Yeah, you pretty much know that you're gonna get the Blink Dagger at a decent timing because you picked up the Vanguard so early. It's so unlikely for you to die in the next 10 minutes, so you should still be looking at about a 20-minute Blink Dagger, if not earlier, depending on how his farm goes.
Yeah, and NiP off to a dominant start, but again, the hero from the first game, or what would have been if they had won, Pycat continues to free farm, and this is a guy that you just can't ever discount. He did go down at that bottom fight, but he still manages to keep up with Limp and CS as Limp and Hanskin are invading the jungle, but Lota manages to get out, and I mean, Lota's had such a rough time, unable to get that blink, and unable to get farm as they continue to pressure out the jungle.
They cannot afford to stack up too often. With the way that Axe is able to just nonchalantly go into the jungle, he can clear stacks faster than this SF at this point. So they got to be a little bit careful giving stacks over to Pycat because they never know. They could be just feeding away gold to the Axe instead.
Pycat switches lanes, realizing that Mad or somebody needs farm. Like, he's the most farmed here in the game. He's the only one that can afford to be a little bit risky, as Mad desperately needs that 6, and he's going to get it in this mid lane, and maybe they even swap out and let Lota farm for a little bit, because he needs that Blink Dagger so badly. Like, they have 0 initiation aside from the Glimpse, but the Glimpse might not even do it at this point, because they are quite far behind as Pycat cuts that wave, is just farming out this jungle, and right now they are at top, but Era should be perfectly fine.
Yeah, Lota managed to get away from Limp, and I'm feeling it. The Glimpse just feels like it's not going to be a sufficient initiating factor here, simply because the Axe is able to just sit so far forward and be in your face that if you try and glimpse someone back, there's going to be some help. Now, Era gets a heal, Purification, coming out from Seal Kid, who does, by the way, have his level 6 plus Soul Ring. Now, that may not seem much at 12 minutes in the game, but it is kind of critical for the Omni Knight. As we said, he has pretty poor laning phase, and it's hard for him to be able to get farm. Just getting something like a Soul Ring and that amount of experience is very big for him.
Oh, and this ward down here that they just placed after that fight has been so crucial. Like, you notice that JoinDOTA, we didn't really mention this, but he's been cutting waves for like the last 3 creep waves, and then he spots the rotation from the tier 2 coming in, and he's completely safe, and just more time wasted by alliances. They're not able to get the kill on him, and they just had to like 4-man rotate from top. They go to bottom, they're unable to catch anything as JoinDOTA, he's just got an absurd amount of farm right now. He has to be near the top of the net worth chart. yes, he's second in this game, and I mean, impressively enough, Pyjamas is still managing to hold on.
Bulldog's gonna been snatched here, and he will go down. He thought the TP was gonna be good enough, but not even close.
Yeah, and Era with this max Dark Pack build is going to be able to clean up these Eidolons as well, and top tower should be down in short order, and they're able to take the bottom one too. Limp gets the last hit on that, and Jonas found just 500 gold away from his Blink Dagger, and once that happens, Alliance has to be put on notice.
Boy, game number 1 was a very tightly contested match between these two Swedish teams. Game 2 pretty dominantly held by Ninja's Pyjamas, but it seems like game 3 may just be the game for NiP to hold the gigantic advantage, as 13 minutes in, they already have about a 6,000 gold lead and 5k experience. Not even a single kill being picked up by Alliance yet.
It's not even the gold that really matters. I feel like it's just a morale kind of thing where you see the score at all times, like 9-0, that hangs over you.
Yeah. Like,
even if the gold and the experience isn't that bad, it's just the fact that you haven't put out a single kill, nothing's really kind of working out for you, and you start to feel a little bit desperate. And Loda moves to this top tower. He's going to farm out like one creep wave and then just kind of get out. And he's just, I mean, he's been pressured so much this game. He's so afraid to show up, and
yeah, he's one full item behind the Axe. Like, he's going to get his Blink Dagger about the same time as the Axe will. In fact, the Axe is going to pick it up just slightly sooner. And he doesn't have that big Vanguard that Axe was able to pick up by the 10-minute marker. So you may have the initiation for Alliance, but there's always the initiation of NiP to be able to catch you first, or the counter initiation to be able to block out what you were trying to do.
Bulldog has to have the biggest black hole of his life, like, to salvage one fight.
Does that mean you go straight Blink Dagger?
I don't know. I feel like you, as odd as it sounds, I feel like you do actually.
Yeah.
Like, I think you have to kind of go big or go home kind of scenario where you just hope that you can outposition them and NiP get a little bit over eager. Because the downside to the Axe ultimate is that it gives you that speed boost, but at the same time it gives you that adrenaline rush. You're like, we're getting a kill, we're getting another one, and you just forget for half a second where Bulldog is and he catches you out. Like, the mech is the more standard and the safe one, but I feel like the Blink Dagger is the game winning.
Pyjamas actually forced to drop his TP there as Era quickly cleans up that tier 1 tower, and Pyjamas, while he does get his mech, was not much of a match to be able to deal with a Era and an Omni Knight. Comboed up. Jonas has had to deal with Mad for quite a while, kind of trailing him. But Jonas just doesn't mind his Stalker too much. He's more than tanky enough to be able to deal with any sort of glimpse
from behind.
Oh, Era's actually going to go straight for Hawkeye, trying to take out and force out that Shallow Grave. Jonas going to get the chop anyway. Pyjamas lets loose that ultimate. Mad on the retreat as well. Jonas dropping quite low here, but it's Limp with the repel is more than taking enough to be able to deal any amount of damage. Era trying to get away with the Shadow Dance, getting away, but the Blink forward Loda catching him in the end. Back over to the rest of NiP. They are now on the retreat as they weren't able to get anything better out of that one.
Yeah, but still a 1-for-1 trade right now for Alliance. It's just about getting yourself on the board. That they're completely okay with that. That could have gone a lot worse, and the glimpse does fly out, but unable to do anything as he is repelled.
Yeah, Seal Kid managing to save himself there just in time.
I think this demonstrates to Jonas that he either needs to go for just like quick armor, like a blade mail would be a pretty good option here, because there's not going to be a BKB flying anytime soon on the Slardar or the Shadow Fiend. Like, I think the blade mail is an okay option. The cloak, the casual cloak into the blade mail, the Shiva's guard rush, like, you just need to build a little bit more tanky. Like, your HP right now is okay, but you need a little bit more than that, and Pyjamas getting really close to that Ogre Club as Alliance start to stabilize a little, actually.
Yeah, they really are. They're getting a decent amount of farm here. Pyjamas is still trying to contest that top net worth, as he is ahead of the Axe ever so slightly, but still behind the Leshrac, who's been free farming all day long in that middle lane, and is going to have a very fast Bloodstone at this point.
Yeah, and the Leshrac, I mean, he's been pretty stable in terms of farm. NiP are hoping to catch somebody out here, but unable to do so, as everybody from Alliance is headed up to the top. They are smoked, but Era... Alright, this is what you want to do if you're the carry, okay? Don't show yourself when your team is going for a smoke gank.
Yep.
Because if you just died during that time, you wasted your team's smoke gank, and B, you've just given them a free kill where there's no chance for a rebuttal.
Yep, and that's exactly why Era's hiding himself in the trees. Dodges Loda's blink. Good play so far. And he will be able to get out of this one. Meanwhile, Alliance now on the retreat. Jonas gets him. The Dark Pact over the top. Mad King dropped low. The Static Storm is enough to be able to force them back. Jonas hoping to be able to get one more spin and a chop, but Mad is trying to keep his distance, but not good enough. The chop failed, and Axe ends up going down first. Meanwhile, will ultimate goes out for the Omni-Knight. Loda dropping lower and lower. He's trying to fight up against Era, but he will go down eventually. Some pounds land. The last couple of right clicks will be the finish. Oh, the black hole's just too late. The dark pack gets him first, but Era's gonna go down. Perhaps the cast goes out. Last couple of right clicks, do get it, but a cast locking down 2 with the splitters over the top. Limp says, hello, Alliance. I'm here to clean you up. Sealkid trying to go to wait. The last raise managed to get him, but Pycat will fall. He fights up against Limp, but the damage is still there between him and Hanskin. Another wipe, but this time it costs NiP just a little bit more.
And that was so costly for NiP because it didn't have to be like that. And the gold change and the XP change, it's not the worst thing in the world for Alliance. It at least shows that they can go head to head. As, I mean, Jonas Fan just isn't tanky enough, and he chased all the way for that disruptor, but Mad just drew him deeper and deeper in, and trading 1 for 1, a disruptor for an axe in that team fight is perfect for them. The downside for Alliance, though, is that Hanskin got so farmed off of that fight. He picks up his level 11, he has his point booster if he wants it, and at the same time, Limp finishes a full Bloodstone with the treads. If he had had that with all those Bloodstone charges, that would have been miserable.
That would have been huge. As you can see from the fight recap, it was still Alliance making a positive gain there, as they were able to get a significant amount of gold and experience despite the fact that they traded 5 for 3. The gap between the two was actually very minimal. It was like 400 gold gain going the way of Ninjas the Pyjamas and about 1,000 experience. Of course, you couple that with the fact that NiP were able to farm during the time that Alliance were completely dead. But it goes to show that when Ninjas the Pyjamas, yes, they are ahead, but if they trade, even like any trades that are actually favorable to them, can still be okay for Alliance.
Honestly, it just feels as though Jonas Fan needs a little bit more armor, because as soon as that rappel was down, he went down so quickly. Like, they just right-clicked him out. Pycat deals a ton of damage right now. He's got max, actually he's 1 away from the max presence of the Dark Lord. He can't really survive against that with just 4 armor, and Hanskin completely alone? No, he's not, as his entire team is starting to back him up, and they actually see Alliance here with this ward. And I don't know if Alliance still want to go for this, as they are under vision and they don't have the black hole. And Jonas Fan going for Loda. 1 second.
Oh, that TP away. Loda probably holding his breath through that one, almost getting caught by Jonas Fan. Meanwhile, Era quickly pushing out that bottom lane. Is going to be going for the S&Y route, or is this a Yasha into a BKB?
I would honestly prefer the Yasha into the BKB. Okay. I don't think that there's any reason not to get a BKB. When you're ahead, BKB is the item that allows you to stay ahead.
Right.
For example, like if you just decide as a Queen of Pain that you're gonna go for like the Orchid into the Aghanims or something like that, and you're against 5 stuns, it's just silly at that point not to go for something defensive.
Yeah, and you do have quite a bit of good AoE magic damage. Most notably coming out from the Disruptor, the hold of the Static Storm can be pretty key against the Slard, but you also have that SF with his ultimate.
At top, he's gonna go down for this.
Chop and finish him off, but look what Alliance are gaining in return. Sure, they lost Bulldog, but they gained a Roshan.
Alliance are the kings of Roshan. Like, no matter what happens or whatever iteration of their lineup it is, they just manage to get Roshan every single time, and this was a really good maneuver by them because they can't just brute force towers anymore. Like, that's failed. They lost 5 heroes as a result. They don't want to go for that again. I think going for the Roshan was the perfect play. You put it on the Shadow Fiend as well, and at top, NiP are pressuring, and they're ready for the cutoff as Alliance have to be so careful about this.
He's going to be the first initiation. No, never mind. They're going to go for someone else, but he went the call. Oh, Era misses out on that one. They didn't want to go for the Aegis hero first, understandably, but they missed their initiation still. Now Hanskin's going to be pulled back behind the tier 2 tower, so he is done so.
And Pycat manages to pick up that last hit. It is a killing spree that Hanskin had at one point. He's getting somewhat close to the Aghanim Scepter, actually. He manages to pick up the Ogre Club before he dies, but Pycat with that kill is going to have a fully completed BKB at 21 minutes with the mech. I don't even understand how this guy's doing it, but all of a sudden he's topping the net worth chart.
Yeah, pretty unbelievable comeback for Pycat, who has been a solid performer through Alliance. We had Jonas Fan, who, as you were talking about, thinking about trying to go for armor. He says, no, more utility for me. He completes a 4-staff now, which will be able to give him that extra bit of initiation and utility in these fights, but he still has to deal with all that minus armor and physical damage that's going to be rapidly coming out from the SF in particular.
Yeah, and a 4-staff is finished on Jonas Fan. Limp, I mean, I think they just all need armor. Like, a Shiva's Guard for Limp would be a pretty good idea. Jonas Fan, I still think the Blade Mail is an okay idea because Loda's just a little bit underfarmed. I'm actually really surprised as to how farmed Loda is. Speaking of which, like, he has the Ogre Club. I think he's only the Mithril Hammer away.
Calling a Pycat here. He does have a double damage. Jonas Savant still taking a decent amount. Loda makes the initiation on Seal Kid. If this is huge, he can't get off his ultimate. No, he does. Jonas Savant manages to stop. They have the black hole catching out too. But the ultimate of Omni Knight is still helping keep them alive. Omni Knight falls, but Aaron does manage to get away. Jonas Savant being kited, managed to force staff and TP out, but the glimpse gets him anyway. Jonas Savant falls. Lim now comes in, but it's too much. It's Alliance start rounding and looking for more. Hanskin turned around, throws out the cask. Era is healing up. Pycat is dropping low, but of course he's still got that second life available to him. They won't even feed away the Aegis. They lost Loda, but they did get 2 of NiP.
Yeah, and I don't even know where Bulldog came in from, but a beautiful black hole by him pretty much means that NiP can engage because they've got a melee core in that Slark who is trying to re-engage, look for something, but I don't know if this is the fight that he wants to go into, as Lardar is about to respawn. Pycat still has that BKB and that Aegis up, but he is going to be the target.
Oh, Pycat just a bit too far out. If they actually manage to catch him here, they've got Ake as well as Matt. He's got a BKB as well, so he should be fine. He just backs up, grabs a TP, and if necessary, he would have BKB TP'd out, but no pressure from NiP to force that.
Yeah, and considering the start that they had, I can't believe that Alliance are even close in this game right now. Like a 9-0, a full team wipe at 8 minutes into the game, and then you suffer another full team wipe just 10 minutes later going for that top tower. And NiP, I think they're getting a little bit antsy as they go for a 4-man smoke of their own. They just want to kind of pick off one hero really quickly and put the stamp back onto this game.
Speaking of which, other item choices, we have the Slark, who picked up his SNY, no BKB for him, but it's going to be Admiral Bulldog, who potentially gets picked off here. Limp leading to charge, but Admiral Bulldog, quick on that trigger, makes the blink out ahead of Jonas Savant's initiation, and all he loses is his Eidolons and his Dragon.
Yeah, and an absolute mechanical beast, being able to get out of there just in time, and Alliance, they just buy themselves more time as Pycat just continues to climb in net worth, and this is just buying them more time because all 4 heroes from NiP have shown, and NiP are going to reset now. They're just going to kind of back out, farm out their own place, but at bottom the push is coming, and Pycat, 3,100 gold.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
And Gem now being picked up by the Dazzle. Whew. That is a serious investment. Alliance are spending a lot of their time 5-manned up, so I suppose the gem is not much of a risk as it would have been previously. They're really just hoping to be able to take out the aggressive vision from NiP, as you can see on the board. Ninjas and Pyjamas were hoping to be able to corral Alliance basically behind those tier 2 towers, and if they ever poke their head out, NiP would know where to gank. Unfortunately, the last couple team fights have not gone well for Ninjas and Pyjamas, and they no longer have the assured power of winning team fights anymore.
Yeah, that's just been Alliance kind of out-fighting them. Like, if Alliance was in equal net worth with NiP, they would have won every single, like, the last 2 fights, but just the sheer amount of net worth that NiP had at one point kind of kept them in there. But, I mean, Alliance kind of did well in the last 2 fights. Like, they went 2 for 1 in the previous one. They were able to get Pycat some more farm. They took down the tower at the same time. Like, they're doing a really good job of holding right now.
You've got 2K on the axe. I also want to point out that Hanskin is getting pretty close to that Aghanim Scepter, and we all know the Witch Doctor, and the amount of damage he can output in team fights is pretty insane if he gets a completely unregulated ultimate.
Yeah, I think if you're Limp, okay, Limp completes the BKB, I think this is the right idea.
Yeah.
I think that Hanskin, or not Hanskin, Jonas Savant should maybe go for the Shiva's Guard now if he's not going to opt to go for the Blade Mail. Like, I think it's a little bit too late for that as BKB start to get picked up, but he does need armor. Like, that's the main thing, is that he is getting ripped apart right now. When that Slardar ult goes on him, when that weave goes on him, he can't just rely on that Omni Repel. As we saw Seal Kid, when he tried to stick close to him, they got double Black Hole.
Yeah, exactly. Alliance knew that, okay, we don't have to focus on the axe. Instead, we're going to make the initiation on the follow-up in the axe. As you saw in the last team fight, Loda went for the blink onto Seal Kid immediately, and they almost eliminated him before Guardian Angel went out. If that ultimate did not go out from the Omni Knight, NiP would have lost that team fight even heavier than they did.
Yeah, the BKB is going to fly out for Loda any moment now, and Alliance are starting to rack up some key items as Pycat again starts to rack up gold. He's got 4,500 net worth. Gold built up. 14k net worth for him, and somehow he still continues to lead the game. But the one thing I am worried about for Alliance is that once Hanskin gets his Aghanim Scepter, they don't have the best ways to deal with him if Hanskin manages to position himself correctly, as he is headed down here. But once again, Mad decides to go for that Glimmer Cape, and against a Leshrac, I think it's the right idea.
Yeah, absolutely. Such a power item for a Disruptor, and an incredible item against the Leshrac as well, as you mentioned in game number 2. Our BKB picked up for Admiral Bulldog, and there is not much to be able to stop that one. Jonas Amfon can get the call, but it seems unlikely just because the Axe is the first one in and last one out, and Admiral Bulldog should be able to counter-initiate to the Axe's presence, so we'll see really how this goes. The Tier 2 tower almost going down to the top lane, but Pycat is able to rebuff that Slark and looks like secure the deny. Ninjas in Pyjamas, though, it seems like we're getting into... I'm feeling like the game is about to turn into Alliance's favor with these BKBs being picked up. At that point, though, I feel like the impetus is definitely on Alliance to try and end the game. Mad is going to be in a bit of trouble here. The counter ward already being laid out. Mad is spotted. Glimmer Cape or no?
And he's going to go down quite quickly. They knew that the rotation was going to come in as a result of this ward. The Glimmer Cape doesn't really help you against a Slark who's got vision of you, and Alliance don't really want to commit for that, but I really like this early gem pickup by Ake or whoever made the call, because they've been able to take full control of their jungle again and just kind of keep NiP a little bit antsy, as Hanskin's about to get his Aghanim Scepter, and the next Roshan is up, and I feel like NiP have to take this, but at the very least they can't give it away right now to Alliance.
Okay, now here's a little bit of different idea to deal with Alliance and the power that they're bringing. You said that he can't rely on the repel anymore. He needs to be able to build up some armor, and so instead Jonas Amfon is going for the BKB, so he doesn't need the repel, and Seal Kid can afford to sit a little bit farther back and only come in when Guardian Angel is needed. I know you were really heavily pushing for armor, but looking at that BKB and theory crafting it, do you think it's the right choice?
Yeah, I think so. I think BKB is never really the wrong choice. Like, it secures your investment no matter what. But if you don't get the any sort of armor, you're pretty much relying on Seal Kid to get off the Guardian Angel. But I mean, Seal Kid doesn't have a Blink Dagger, he doesn't have a Force Staff, he isn't the best positioning hero with an Omni Knight. Like, you have to be pretty up close to be able to cast the Purification or the Repel. Like, that's the downside to the hero. So I think you're going to struggle a little bit to get all 3 spells off in order every single time. And Limp's going to see this DD rune, and I think this is going to signify a Roshan, but a 5-man smoke, potentially? No, that's... Okay, here we go.
Yeah. Alliance now going to go for it. They know Roshan is probably up at this point. I gotta say, they are getting major value out of this gem, but they may be going into a very dangerous fight as there is double damage on the ground, but if they can get lit first, never mind, there goes the Purification. Now, the Black Hole is lag 2! Jonas Amfon locks down Buggy Mad, but it still doesn't matter. In the background, though, Hanskin with the Aghanim Scepter, he's doing some work with the Death Ward. They get outside of the range. Era, he's that double damage. He's trying to lock down Pycat, who pops the Flutter and the Butterfly. Zooping around, he will be able to get away from Era for a time being. The Cast is over. Oh no, it's going to be able to catch both Lona and Admiral Bulldog. Pycat escapes, but NiP win the fight as they manage to take out 4. The last to go down is the Frenchman. Mad falls, and Ninjas in Pyjamas now turn their sights to getting an Aegis.
Hanskin did that so perfectly. Like, I can't overvalue what he just did. He waits for the hole and the Slardar stun, realizes all he has to do is place it on the low ground, and Bulldog, he's in a lose-lose situation, because it's either continue to channel this black hole or just allow my team to constantly get hit by that Death Ward. And even then, he blinks forward, which was the right decision, but Hanskin throws the cast forward, allowing them to get both kills. Hanskin with the perfect fight on that Witch Doctor.
Unbelievable, and that now means that Ninjas in Pyjamas, we were talking about how this game may be turning to Alliance's favor, but Ninjas in Pyjamas with the sharp retort says, no, we now have a Scotty and an Aegis, another 1k gold on Era. Limp is looking okay. He managed to pull out a decent amount of gold from that team fight despite dying, so he may have 6 Bloodstone charges, but he's got 2,700 gold. You're talking about Shivas constantly. Is this an option for Leshrac?
Oda goes for the solo kill, and the SF is coming in as well, but Limp right there with the stun, and Loda has to disengage now. He doesn't know who else is lurking for him as Jonas Amfon starts to blink forward, but Loda's going to get the hell out of there, and maybe they actually find Bucking Mad again.
They land a pounce, but there is no counter vision this time in a row. Glimmer Cape only lasting so long. Era knows he can afford to sit under that tier 2 tower and wait for it. The aggressive jump in. Jonas Amfon managed to get a call onto Ake, but they will not be able to follow that one up, at least not yet anyway.
Yeah, and they're completely split up, but they don't even care right now because they do have a pretty good advantage. And Hanskin, he does have the heals readily available for his team. Fan is a little bit low, but he has the Urn available. And right now, I mean, NiP with this Aegis, there's no way that Alliance want to fight, especially without the Black Hole. And it looks like Admiral Bulldog is going all in on that Black Hole, picking up the BKB as well as the point booster. And this is what they're going to need to get back into this game, but this time around, if they do go for that Black Hole all-in play, they have to lock down Hanskin, because he's always going to be there with the follow-up Death Ward.
Yep. And at this point in time, he can afford to look at certain items, such as maybe BKB, for him to be able to not worry about the Static Storm, Glimpse, the Slardar Stun, Malefice as well. The only thing that would stop him at that point would be a Bash or the Black Hole. And we talked about how he's going to wait that one out every single time and try and counter-initiate the Black Hole, so that's probably not much of a factor either.
Yeah, and the Witch Doctor is almost level 16. Looking at Alliance's side, though, Mad, this Glimmer Cape this time around isn't paying off as hard as it once was. As this time around, NiP do have the physical damage dealer that they need, and Ake's been doing a pretty good job. Like he is 0-5-5, but this is what you expect out of a Dazzle, and I feel like that gem pickup by him was what was keeping them in the game for quite some time.
Oh yeah.
Loda has done a pretty admirable job of trying to catch up in terms of farm. Bulldog is doing Bulldog things, but again, I just feel like this game is going to come down to how much Pycat can do in these fights. In that previous fight, he was able to juke around the trees, using that Flutter ability actually, not relying on the evasion whatsoever, and just kind of outplaying Era there.
Yeah, that was the only reason that Alliance didn't get completely wiped. Mad, lucky to be alive, is actually going to go for the Static Sword play. His Era's going to be locked down. They're going to try and take away his agents with the help of Loda and this silence, but Era survives through it. He's going to be able to get off the ultimate and now makes the leap over into the river where they have no vision to be able to glimpse him again.
He's like, goodbye,
yeah,
and they're not able to do anything, and it looks like he wants to re-engage, and Hanskin desperately trying to get his level 16 before this next fight, and he does, and he's got a Blink Dagger as well, and Alliance have to respect that. I feel like more than any single core, it's this Witch Doctor with the Aghanim Scepter and the level 3 Death Ward that they have to worry about.
Admiral Bulldog is trying to finish up his Aghanim Scepter. He's about halfway there. That could be the critical amount of damage needed to take out both the Axe as well as the Slark, as that Midnight Pulse damage added on top of the Black Hole. Percentage-based damage is going to work well against the Slark, who, as we said early on in this game, is a squishy hero, but will build into straight raw tankiness most of the time, and that's exactly what SNY and Scotty gives you.
Yeah, and Pycat continuing to try to split up the map, going to this top lane, and Fan kind of had an idea that he was there, but he gives up the chase a little bit before he will see Pycat. And in this top lane, it's just the Omni Knight, and Pycat might be a little bit emboldened, but no, he's actually just going to go hide in the trees and wait things out.
I like these pickups. I talked about the BKB from Hanskin, but instead he goes for a Blink Dagger, so he can sit really far back and wait for the counter initiation, and same goes for Seal Kit. That mobility item is most definitely needed for the Omni Knight. He cannot afford to just constantly sit there next to the Axe, waiting for the Guardian Angel. He has to be able to jump in and instantly pop it, because Alliance, they're already on the lookout for that Omni Knight every single team fight.
Yeah, and NiP right now, just waiting things out, making sure they don't overextend. The Aegis still is available, but they can't really go high ground, and there are no other objectives right now because all the tier 2 towers have been taken. So I think the play for NiP is wait things out, play it a little bit slow. Era can afford to go for this MKB right now instead of going for something like the immediate buyback, and just wait out the next Roshan. Like, that's the safest way to approach the high ground. Yes, you give Pycat a little bit more space to farm, but you're farming 5 heroes at the same time, so you're probably still winning that.
Yeah, and at that point in time, like, if Pycat's getting farmed, well, he's already kind of countered out, because he went for the Butterfly, but MKB is going to be had by Era, and if he is able to take enough time to sit back and farm while they're waiting for Roshan, he can actually potentially get himself an Abyssal Blade, in which case he's got both the counter to the Butterfly and then just the lockdown to be able to keep the SF from dishing out any of his damage. So they don't really have to worry about just one hero farming up on Alliance, because they've got such a good anti-hard carry lineup with the Slark most notably, but also certain other heroes such as the Axe.
Yeah, and the Shiva's Guard is picked up. That's a really underrated item for Roshing and in team fights. Like, the 45 Aura attack slow, you don't really feel it until you're playing against it.
Right.
Like, it seems kind of slow, but it's almost like you're constantly being is it Crystal Nova? Why Crystal Maiden?
Yeah.
Like that's the skill. Yeah, I think it's equivalent. I think it's 50 max for her. So just imagine constantly being hit by that.
Era is going to try and make a jump here, going for Pycat. The flutter goes out. He is slowed down by... Loda's actually going to come in, try and contest this one. Pycat pops a BKB, and they're going to turn. Seal Kid gets stunned up, perhaps just a little bit too close to the sun there. And Era says, see you later. Yoda manages to miss that initiation. And now just makes it with the split. Earth managed to catch Pycat. Ake gets away, but Pycat, that's the critical pick-off for sure, as Pycat will end up going down. Not even a counter kill, and Jonas and Fod. Sure, they lost the Omni Knight, but well worth it in the minds of Ninjas in Pyjamas. They're going to try and force this buyback now through a 4-man push at top.
Yeah, and does he have it? Yes, it is available, 188 surplus, but he would be so poor, and that's the last thing that he wants to do. But I think NiP are going to try to force this out, disengage, and then just go for that Roshan. And right now, Era has bought out. He doesn't have buyback himself, but they've got full map control, and I don't think he's too concerned right now.
Yeah, the likelihood of Alliance being able to win a fight so heavily that they push out aggressively against you and take any objective seems very slim.
Okay, Era is not in the best position, but...
He was hoping to be able to get that counter on the cliff, but... Instead,
not really too concerned
to
about
do it.
that.
Yeah. No big deal. What's the courier bringing in? We've got now Boots of Travel for Limp, so if they want to, they can go ahead and split push really heavily. With Limp being able to defend against Alliance, and I'm sure Alliance are eventually going to go back to ratting in some way. And he could defend against that and still join the rest of his allies for the fight. There's also the potential with maybe enough Bloodstone charges, but more likely buyback, that he could have two different lives in a very offensive maneuver. So a lot of options here with his Boots of Travel.
Yeah, and so I just want to take a look at the net worth for myself right now, as it does creep to 20k for NiP. The experience is going in a similar fashion, and this is what you expect when you're able to farm out your own jungle, their jungle, and 3 lanes at the same time, as Alliance are kind of just limited to Pycat farming out this lane, and he's the only one that you feel safe sending forward. But I feel like if there's a team that makes net worth differences like pointless, it's Alliance. They're just so good at team fighting. They do have the lineup for it. Admiral Bulldog, I think this is his Aghanims flying in as well. This is the damage dealing item that you need, and Bulldog is the type of player that he wants this game on him.
They're going to go for a 5-man smoke, not waiting any longer for Ninjas in Pyjamas to push in. They're going to be the ones trying to take this offensively. And look at the timer here. Roshan could spawn at any point in time, so if Alliance do get a really good fight, they could go take Roshan, grab an Aegis and Cheese, and who knows what they could do with that one. Lip is going to be the first one stumbled upon. They are going to try and control him as best as possible. BKB, Shiva's turned around. Loda going for the lockdown on Lip, but he's still dealing out a good amount of damage. Will the supports end up going down? Look at the position from Monskit. Blitz back to send him away, but Loda's already dead, and the rest of Alliance on the retreat. Mad going for the TP out, but oh, Jonas Safad manages to catch the two critical ones. A black hole goes out with Pycat's ultimate. They'll be able to get a couple of kills, but it's still not enough. They're just gonna get cleaned up by Era. Jonas Safad manages to survive even. Thank you, Jonas. He gets the initiation to counter 2 of Alliance and will even survive with 50 HP.
And the Slark just has too much farm right now. He's pretty much 6-slotted. You could sell the hand of Midas, but at this point you get a Butterfly. Life just becomes even worse for Alliance. They don't have the damage. The black hole was there, but the BKBs were popped by NiP at the same time. And at bottom, Limp makes the move for Mad, but unable to get him. And I mean, the buyback from Loda, but this is a desperation one, as they don't have a black hole, they don't have the Shadow Fiend ultimate, they don't have the Disruptor ultimate. NiP are aware of that. They don't even have to wait for the Aegis at this point.
Now they caught Loda. This is big. A potential tie back for the carry of Alliance. They manage to hold him in. Era's now here, ready to go with the pounce. BKB activated. Shallow Grave goes out. And Slardar looks like he will survive. They turn their sights towards that tier 3 tower, bringing it lower and lower. Melee Rack's also going to go down. Meanwhile, Limp continues the pressure at the bottom lane, but it looks like Alliance, they are just going to give up this one lane of Racks and keep the buyback intact for Pycat.
Yeah, and that's what you need, because if you're losing these fights as is, you need every bit of gold you can for the next fight. And NiP, I mean, they spot out the Roshan, they know that it's up. Is this the 3rd one as well? Yep. And it's got the Cheese, and Limp, he's got a slot for it with those treads.
More items flowing in for Ninjas of Pyjamas everywhere you look. Saul Curas for Jonas Mfon. You've got Seal Kid, who actually has a decent amount of net worth. He could probably go for an Aghanim Scepter at this rate. The MKB, Scotty, SNY, Era, quick to be able to pick up that next item. Not going to be the Abyssal Blade that I expected. Instead, looks like Butterfly with that quarterstaff.
Yeah, and a 30k net worth lead and experience lead built up by NiP is they still have room to grow. That's the scary part.
Yep.
Like, Limp could drop his treads at any moment, and he opts to go for the bottle first. He has 2 item slots left. Era could sell that Hand of Midas, that Aegis slot as well, pick up Boots of Travel on him, and Alliance, they have to be worried right now as NiP start to make their move towards this bottom tower. They already have that top racks, and it is pushing in, and Lotus doing his best to push it out, and he's just buying whatever he can. The chainmail's coming out for him. You just got to get whatever you can for this last fight.
So it all comes down to this for Alliance. It is a do-or-die situation. In defending this bottom lane of racks, Ninjas of Pyjamas have every single possible advantage they could hope for. Aegis, cheese, a 30k advantage, items out of the wazoo. But Alliance, they're going to stand strong one last time. Look for Admiral Bulldog. That black hole's up in just another 12 seconds. That's the big key factor here. Alliance, if it's even possible for them to win a fight at this point, it's going to be off the back of Bulldog.
The thing is, too, that Bulldog has to be so patient. Like, if he pulls the trigger too early, then they just lose the fight because it won't be good enough of a black hole, but they can't lose people left, right, and center. And Era's just kind of being rebuffed right now, as that's a lot of negative armor going down on him.
Yeah, even if it is there for only 2 or 3 seconds thanks to Dark Pact and Repel, it's still enough for Pycat to force Era back. The thing is, Era has enough regeneration thanks to his ultimate. He's just going to chip away at this tower over and over and over again until it falls. And they are not able to punish him in any way. Ninjas of Pyjamas are playing this absolutely calculated.
Yeah, they don't want to give away this game right now. They understand that they're in the driver's seat. All they have to do is play it safe, wait for Alliance to get over antsy and overextend, and NiP not really risking anything. Their entire team has buybacks with the exception of Era. I think they're comfortable with the position they're in. They don't have to force anything right now.
Onskin, again, that's what, the 3rd or 4th time that cliff has been warded up by Alliance and Ninjas of Pyjamas. Take that vision away immediately. Pycat gonna be jumped on here by Era, just trying to force something. He does have that Aegis, sure enough, there goes the BKB, and the ward goes out as well. They have the Shallow Grave to be able to keep Pycat alive for a little bit longer, as well as the Glimmer Cave. Pycat just barely surviving because of it. Now Limp comes in with the Shivas, forcing the rest of Alliance back. Looks like Mad is gonna be going down. It's a quick chop, takes him out. Lodo with counter initiation.
Bulldog
Locks out, Yoda some fun. Bulldog waiting patiently for that initiation, but if he waits too long, they're going to be losing a set of racks.
And he's just trying to stop the blink of Jonas Mfon and maybe wait things out, but the blink force staff!
Yeah, he's going to be able to catch too! Jonas Mfon might just take out Admiral Bulldog. First double chop gets him! Now Pycat in the background trying to throw that ultimate, but an MKB says no! Era gets him and even dares the fountain to try and take him out. Loaded tons too, but he's got no backup besides Pycat, who just pops the buyback here. Hit by the cast, Era runs him down, locks him down with the glimpse, and they will be able to get him. This is it!
And a GG!
Alliance go down! GG, well played! Alliance will fall to the youngsters of Ninjas of Pyjamas. They have been here. They had to lose sight for a second when they got dropped out of the TI qualifiers, but they come back big with redemption here in Austin, Texas at the X Games, able to take their first gold of their young team life.
Yeah, and NiP are going to walk away with first, but at the same time, I mean, you got to give it up to Alliance for making this a close series. That second game was so dominant. That first one could have swung either way, keeping it close. I think this was the best possible finals that we could have hoped.